It all started with a single photo that quietly dropped on a fan blog late one night. No hashtags, no explanation, just an image of Papoose embracing a young man, with Clarissa Shields standing just beside them, her hand resting gently on the young man's shoulder. The embrace wasn't staged, it was emotional, raw, and you could see it all in Papoose's face. His eyes were tightly shut, his brows scrunched together like he was trying to hold it all in. And the young man? His arms wrapped around his father as if that hug had been waiting for years. But what caught everyone off guard wasn't just the hug, it was who the young man was. Papoose's son. His trans son. People were stunned, not just because they didn't know he had a son, but because this was the first time Papoose publicly acknowledged him. For years, rumors floated that Papoose had a child from a previous relationship, someone he didn't talk about, someone whose story was kept hidden. But no one knew the full truth. And now, with one powerful image, the truth was undeniable. His son was real, he was present, and he was being embraced not just by his father, but by Claressa, too. Within hours, that photo spread like wildfire. Fans zoomed in, cropped it, reposted it with captions ranging from celebratory to confused. People had questions. Where was Remy Ma? Why hadn't she ever mentioned Papoose's son? And why was Claressa the one standing beside them, holding that space like it belonged to her? The silence from Remy's side made it louder. It felt like something bigger was happening, a story that had been boiling underneath for a long time, finally bubbling to the surface. But to really understand how big of a moment this was, you have to rewind. Papoose and Remy Ma were once seen as one of hip-hop's strongest couples. They stood by each other through prison time, career ups and downs, and family struggles. When Remy was locked up, Papoose held it down. When she got out, they married and tried to rebuild their empire together. But cracks started to show in recent years. Rumors of infidelity, separation, and emotional distance kept circulating, though both remained mostly silent. Then Clarissa Shields entered the picture. At first, people didn't think much of it. Claressa's a world-class boxer, bold, fierce, and not the type to chase clout. Her friendship with Papoose seemed random, but gradually, it started to make sense. They were seen together at events, sometimes laughing, sometimes in deep conversation. There was something gentle about their connection. It wasn't flashy, but it felt real. Clarissa didn't act like someone looking for attention. She acted like someone who was holding space for a man who hadn't had much peace in a long time. Insiders now say Clarissa was the one who encouraged Papoose to reach out to his son. That the young man, who had transitioned quietly and lived away from the spotlight, had been hesitant about reconnecting. It wasn't just about gender, it was about time lost, years of silence, fear of rejection. And for Papoose, it was about guilt. He didn't know how to show up, how to make it right, or if he even deserved to try. But Clarissa wasn't about making excuses. She reportedly spoke with the son herself, helped rebuild trust, and stood by Papoose during every step. It wasn't performative. She didn't post about it. She didn't make it a moment for social media. She simply did the work behind the scenes, because that's who she is. And when the reunion finally happened, she was there, not to take credit, but to witness it, to hold the space, to protect the moment. The day of the reunion was marked by a quiet, purposeful energy. It wasn't a grand spectacle or a media frenzy. Instead, it took place during a small community event in Brooklyn, attended only by a close circle of friends and family. There were no flashing cameras or headline-grabbing moments, just an intimate space set aside for healing and reconciliation. One attendee described the scene as watching two wounded souls slowly finding their rhythm again, a tender dance of forgiveness and understanding. The atmosphere was filled with vulnerability. There were tears shared softly, whispered conversations carrying the weight of unspoken emotions, and long stretches of silence where feelings spoke louder than words ever could. Then, after what felt like an eternity, came the embrace, a hug that quickly went viral online. That hug was more than just a physical gesture. It symbolized the mending of broken bonds and the possibility of new beginnings. However, amid the public outpouring of support and emotional reactions, one glaring absence stood out: Remy Ma. The rapper did not attend the event, nor did she acknowledge it on her social media platforms. Fans and followers noticed her silence immediately, sparking a wave of questions and speculation. When asked about her absence, some of Remy's comments were either ignored or deleted, adding fuel to the rumors. This wasn't merely a case of a missed invitation or a scheduling conflict, it seemed intentional. Behind the scenes, insiders suggest that Remy Ma's distance was rooted in deeper issues within the family. For some time now, there have been whispers that Remy Ma harbored reservations about Papoose's son, whose recent transition has reportedly created tension in their household. The nature of those tensions remains unclear, whether they stem from discomfort, misunderstanding, or outright disapproval. What is known is that this family dynamic complicated the path toward reconciliation. While Papoose was eager to reconnect and heal fractured relationships, Remy Ma allegedly discouraged those efforts, adding strain to an already delicate situation. Into this complicated and emotionally charged space stepped Claressa, a figure who, willingly or not, filled the void left by Remy's absence. Claressa's presence at the reunion symbolized a shift in the family's dynamics, highlighting the complexity of love, acceptance, and the struggles that come with navigating change. As this story unfolds, it becomes clear that healing is rarely straightforward, and sometimes, the absence of one voice makes room for another to be heard. That contrast didn't go unnoticed by fans, who began to scrutinize the entire situation more closely. While Remy Ma continued to post stylish fashion photos and inspirational quotes about staying unbothered, it was Claressa who was clearly doing the heavy emotional work behind the scenes. The difference was stark, and social media users quickly took sides. One fan summed it up perfectly, tweeting, "Claressa did more for that man's healing in 6 months than Remy did in 6 years." This sparked a fierce debate online. Some supporters defended Remy, arguing that she never signed up to be the emotional caretaker in this complex situation and deserved space. Others were far less forgiving, accusing her of turning her back on someone she once publicly called her king. Amid the growing tensions, Papoose took to social media with a message that said more than words. He didn't write a long explanation or call anyone out directly. Instead, he shared a simple but powerful quote, "Sometimes, healing doesn't come from those closest to you. Sometimes, it comes from those brave enough to see you." He left out names and tags, but the meaning was clear to everyone paying attention. It was a message for Claressa. Throughout this delicate time, Papoose maintained respect and restraint. He never publicly criticized Remy, despite the speculation and drama swirling around them. Still, it was clear to fans that something had changed between them. His loyalty, once unwavering and ironclad, seemed to have shifted. This shift wasn't necessarily about romance, though fans eagerly speculated on that front, but something deeper and more profound. It was an emotional shift, one that suggested Papoose was finding healing and understanding in unexpected places. A real connection that went beyond the surface and the past. Meanwhile, Remy Ma finally broke her long silence with a cryptic post that spoke volumes without saying much. She shared a photo of herself with a simple caption, "Not everything deserves a response. Some things just deserve distance." Though brief, the message was clear and carried a weighty meaning. It wasn't a direct reply to the ongoing drama, but it was unmistakably a statement of boundaries. Fans immediately sensed the tension. This wasn't just about words left unsaid, but about divisions that ran much deeper. The social media world buzzed with reactions, debates flared up, and loyalties were tested. It became obvious that this story was about more than just the surface-level disputes. It was about the painful realities of presence and absence, love and neglect. At its core, this wasn't simply a tale about gender roles or parenting challenges. It was about showing up for one another, about being present in moments when it truly matters. About who chooses to stand firm during the darkest and most vulnerable times. In this unfolding narrative, Claressa emerged as the person who did what many might not have been willing or able to do. She stayed. She offered support. She lifted up. She refused to run away from the messiness of pain and healing. And that made all the difference. A few days after Remy's post, Papoose's son, now in his early 20s, shared a quiet but poignant message of his own. He posted a black and white selfie with the caption, you have no idea what that hug meant to me." Suddenly, the story took on a new dimension. This young man, often reduced to headlines or rumors, was seen as more than just a figure in a family drama. He became human, a person who had waited a lifetime for a moment of connection, a moment of healing, a moment of recognition that finally arrived. Now, fans and followers are watching closely, eager to see what this means moving forward. Is there something deeper growing between Papoose and Claressa? Or was this reunion purely about healing fractured relationships and finding peace? The truth remains unknown. But one thing is certain, this story has cracked something open, a door to understanding, forgiveness, and the complicated beauty of human connection. Sometimes, the real ones show up when you least expect it. Not with noise. Not with drama. But with presence, love, and a willingness to stand in truth, no matter how uncomfortable. And for Papoose, that truth finally came full circle. Not through fame. Not through his wife. But through a son he almost lost, and a woman no one saw coming.